We're here for the Delta Soul Golf Tournament and Charity Event. We welcome now to the program Tim Bixler, Executive Director of the Delta Center Stage. He'll be retiring soon. And his successor, Wade Chambers of Delta Center Stage. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on Middays.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Looks like another great event here for the Delta Soul Golf Tournament, raising some money for the St. Cecilia Foundation. Steve running around here like crazy with all his celebrity buddies. It's unbelievable how they descend upon Greenville for this event, isn't it?
Yes, it has been my joy during the last 5 years to say in front of every audience that we entertain, thank God for Steve Azar. Seriously, he has brought himself back into this community and contributed so much. And
could be anywhere, do anything.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing. But does it because
he's in the right place.
And
he knows that.
He knows it. He feels a calling. Yeah. He loves this community. He loves this state. Loves the Delta. Yeah. And he loves the people, mainly.
Absolutely.
And that's why he does it. And we're grateful. We're appreciative. And I'm proud to be kind of a colleague, a brother in broadcasting, as my good friend.
We're all lucky to be a part of it.
That's right. No doubt about it. All right, so tell us about the Delta Center Stage. What's that all about there?
Delta Center Stage was incorporated in 1979, but its history springs from a long history of theater in the Delta as volunteer community theater. We'll talk about that later if we have time. But in 1920s, there was community theater in Greenville, in the Delta, and a history and a culture of support for artistic endeavor. Particularly, Greenville can boast a huge cadre of writers. Walker Percy, William Alexander Percy, Shelby Foote, all of whom sprang from the culture that exists here. And theater was a part of that until 1972, when it folded for a lot of good reasons we won't go into. But my wife and I moved here in 1979 and discovered very quickly that there was still a strong culture of support, and it didn't take much to get it restarted in 79, and we have been operating continuously ever since then. And I'm most proud to say that we have successfully reached the point where we're going to transition to the second cadre of leadership, and that's my friend, Wade Chambers, who is also a long-term member of this community and is taking the reins as I requested that he do from me. And he will be our new executive director and hopefully guide and direct us for the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Tim, how long have you been in this role?
We started in 1979, so I was hired to do the job in 1992.
Okay.
We were all volunteer until
2002.
then. What?
2002.
2002.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry.
It's kind of interesting because
it all flows together.
Our family first got involved in 2002.
Okay.
Right before they hired Tim. Right. So Delta Center Stage was all volunteer before that. Still a great organization, but they kind of took the plunge and said, we think we need a staff person. And Tim was the logical candidate, and they took that chance, and Tim took it and ran with it and stabilized our finances and our artistic programming and our volunteer base, and it's just kind of been onward and upward since then. So it's kind of a cool thing that I get to succeed Tim, but the year that I started with Delta Center Stage was the year we hired him, and I got to benefit from all of that upward path.
You got to see all the mistakes being made.
Who produces the shows, and where does the talent come from?
Community theater is, by definition, conducted by volunteers. That's our mission. It's specifically stated in the bylaws. You don't pay people. You do pay professionals such as musicians, people who had to go to college or advanced degree to do what they do. But actors, backstage workers, people who build things and so on are all by definition volunteers. That's the requirement. And actually community theater came as a result of a historical revulsion of early 20s, just terrible commercialization. In the early 20s, theater was burlesque.
Okay.
It was, and there was no place to do art. You couldn't do it. It was so bawdly commercial that a certain gathering of people said, no, we don't want to do this. We're not in this for the money. We're in this for the art. And that's where community theater sprang from. So in a lot of ways, that's our background and our history. But it all gets mixed up, and in a lot of ways, community theater can and often does earn a negative reputation because they don't do things well. And I think that's one thing that Wade has recognized, and he did right from the get-go, is that we expect more of our people, and we expect professional attitudes and conduct. And we expect our people to behave in that fashion, and it is a teaching tool for community involvement.
Sure. Wade, in moving into this role, do you have any particular immediate priorities, long-term priorities? A plan, I'm sure.
Yeah, the advantage that I have in starting is not only do we have a very strong foundation based on 20 years of having good, even though it was a single paid staff person, it's made a big difference in keeping the organization moving forward. But to have that, I also have Tim willing to stay on part-time, and his wife Sonia, who's an incredibly talented actress, director, costumer, and so they're both still on staff, and that's going to help to ease this transition period.
Sure.
But kind of what I want to do is take our foundation and look for ways to grow that.
There are many ways to do that.
We do have an immediate challenge, like so many organizations, because of the pandemic, when we couldn't perform for a while. It's affected our participation a little bit, so we don't have as many people come out for auditions. It's like folks just kind of got out of the habit, like a lot of things. That is starting to come back now, but I feel like we'll need to, I don't know, maybe do a little more proactive outreach.
It's still a challenge, yeah.
Then, look at some ways to, I kind of see my role as to cultivate future young leaders for Delta Center Stage, because although I'm younger than Tim, I'm not that young. I'm going to be 60 next year. So I see that as important, is find that next person who can carry on, 5-10 years from now. And then just, what's out there new in the world of theater that we can kind of explore. That's the advantage of taking over an organization that has a good foundation, is you have the opportunity to look at, are there things we can do different without getting away from what we do well, but are there things we can add?
Yeah. So that's a good point. Do you find that the younger generations have an interest in this? Or is this something that seems to be sort of only of interest to the older folks?
There is an amazing hunger among young people who, especially with social media, they're glued to these screens and they see performance, and in a way that's an opportunity and also an obstacle. But I recognize this. I see it every year. We see these young people come in, and they might come in hesitant or shy or whatever, but I see them watch, and I see them hang in the background and observe, and then suddenly, boom. Maybe it takes a year, maybe it takes 6 months, maybe it takes 2 years, but they'll suddenly just bloom, and boom, they are.
Seems important that we continue continue the tradition of this form of art for sure. So hopefully we can keep the young folks interested in it. Tim, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We are, yes, sir. Congratulations, and have a great retirement, Wade. I know you got your hands full, but you sure seem up to it.
Thank you.
And
we're not going anywhere.
Good luck on your new role there. Appreciate it. And
Thanks so much.
Best of luck to the Delta Center stage.
You bet. We're in a good place.
We're stepping aside right here for a break, folks. We're in the Element Well Studios in Greenville, Mississippi.